This is a heck of a cast.
Yeah, it's huge. No small player.
No small player.
And it
talented like crazy.
Yeah. And it's not just one character, not 2, 3. There's everyone.
It's layered.
Yeah.
Like, we, of course, are talking about a Ridley Scott movie.
Gladiator.
Well.
No, I'm just kidding. It almost has the same feel.
Yeah, right? Except for the Gladiator is they're coming at you straight.
That's right.
And this one's a little bit less straight at you.
No, yeah.
I'm going to just say House of Gucci, and I'm just going to say I'm going to probably upset some people. I'm also going to say I remember a lot of this stuff.
Movies. The average person can be inspired by them. They can make us laugh. Movies can keep us on the edge of our seat, and so much more. Maddie's Movie Mix is a podcast for movie enthusiasts of all kinds. We hope you enjoy the show.
Wait. Matt Logan!
Yes, we both had the same problem. You.
Listen. You smell something?
Yippee-ki-yay. This is Tyler Peterson. And I'm going to say I wasn't born yet. I don't think
fair.
I was, at least. At least some of the beginning stuff.
You were just born at the end.
And I can tell you the last thing on my mind was Gucci.
That's true.
I can almost even tell you now my mind is still not on Gucci.
Yeah. I regret watching this.
Yeah.
That's true.
It's a long film.
They could have probably cut an hour out of
They
this and done the
absolutely
same
could
thing.
have. There was a lot of slow parts.
Yeah. And, you know, I to me, look, like we said, talented like crazy. The cast, amazing talent.
Through the roof.
You can't argue with Ridley Scott and what he does. You can't argue with Jared Leto, and as goofy of a guy he is,
Yeah.
he's incredibly talented. You can't take that away.
No. But it's weird.
Lady Gaga.
Lady Gaga.
I mean, you know, I just thought of this. How much weight did she put on for this film, this role?
Well, I've been told never to ask about weight in the ladies. I have no idea. But
yeah,
she
that's
does.
on a personal level. This is that I get it.
Yeah, no.
But we're talking about when you're cast as a star in a film like this, that kind of stuff is like huge. Like Christian Bale when he did.
It's insane what
You
he
know.
goes through with his body.
Yeah. He's going to die young.
Well, yeah.
I think he is.
He's going to die the Batman, though.
It's
That's all
true.
you can really ask for. But yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, you're right. I actually didn't even think about that.
Yeah. Because she was not recognizable.
No.
I mean,
Especially since I had just watched A Star is Born the day before.
sure.
And there's, I guess there's only a 4-year difference between
Right.
the two films.
Yeah. But I mean, she's incredibly talented. I
Is she still doing music?
think so.
Okay. I guess I never, besides pep band stuff, I guess I didn't really pay attention. But there was a huge phase, obviously, that when she went through with some of the albums, but I just haven't heard much from her recently besides film. But
Right.
there's a good chance.
Well, I thought she did some like specials or something like that.
That's probably true.
I believe. Not really positive, I guess, but you know, this film, the budget was $75 million is what I have in my notes, because I'm always curious about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They at the time, the box office was at $73 million. So they're
better than Ridley Scott's last one.
yes, which was The Last Duel.
Yep.
Is the question I had in my mind as I'm watching this is, first off, the big question was why in the freak am I here?
Right.
Still.
Well, the funny part for me is it's not on any streaming services, so you have to go into the theater.
Yep.
And so I was sitting there eating my pre-movie popcorn that I finished before the movie starts.
Yeah.
And watching all the stuff beforehand, the extra scenes, and they were doing one behind the scenes for House of Gucci, and they were talking about this film must be seen in the theaters, and I'm like, All right.
That was pre.
Wow, that was what I was saying. I was watching it beforehand, and that's
Yeah.
what they said must be seen in theaters. It was like with Adam Driver, I think,
Sure,
was
yeah.
having the interview, or maybe it was Lady Gaga, and they were talking about how this movie needs to be seen in the theater. And I was like, all right. I was watching the trailers. I didn't necessarily think this is one. It's a historical, and it's not one that's like super action filled. It's just more of drama. So I was like,
Yeah.
well, maybe there's more drama than I thought, where multiple people get stabbed in the back quite literally rather than figuratively. And so I was like, all right. And then I watched the film. I was like, no part of when I was watching this, I was thinking, man, I'm really happy I'm in the theater right now.
It wasn't congruent for me either.
No.
Right. That's part of it too. I think that they could have. It might have been better to do like flashback type movie. I think where
they could have done a trial thing.
Yeah,
That would have been cool.
exactly. So I don't know.
Can we talk about their accents too?
Yes,
Because I don't know where we're going to talk about that in our breakdowns.
I
because
know.
this is completely separate.
Okay, so let's just give the audience, thank you very much for listening and watching, by the way. We do really appreciate you, and we do really want to get better at this. We enjoy it a lot. We want you to enjoy it a lot. And so just drop us a comment, hammer the like button, hammer the share button. So anyway, let me say this. We do actor chemistry, filming locations, cinematography, costume design, music or the score, whatever you want to label that, and then overall entertainment value, which then shows our overall rating of X. So I'm thinking to myself as I'm watching the film, we need to add.
Yeah.
It's like we need to add an accent.
Yeah, because it was
Category.
brutal.
It was bad.
I do not understand why they went with the choice, because the whole time I was like,
Jeremy Irons, right? That's the dad.
yeah, for Rodolfo.
I'm like, he's got a really unique voice. If
Yeah.
you've ever followed him as an actor or seen quite a few, you know he's got an extremely unique voice.
Yeah.
To put him in there, it would have been better for him, in my opinion, to learn Italian and have subtitled for his character only, even.
Yeah.
Right? And not try to put an accent to that voice.
And it's not like they were afraid to do that, because they did that later in the movie.
Yeah.
And so the hard part for me with the accent, I was trying to tell if were the actors, like, were the characters speaking English, like, were they Italian trying to speak English? Because it seems so broken, and every word every sentence was like they really had to think of like, well, this is what I am trying to say, and then like it just didn't make sense.
Right. It didn't make sense. Exactly. So I don't know what's Ridley Scott trying to do, I guess, is the other thing I was thinking, one of the big things. I'm like, I get he's getting up there in age. He's probably not going to be able to really physically do big movies for very long. Right. Unfortunately, I don't mean that as a disrespect. It's just he's had a great career, and obviously, what is he in his late 70s now? Mid 70s for sure. But at any rate, I'm thinking, like, is he just slamming out movies because he has all these things that he's wanted to do, and he's just like doesn't care?
I would feel
like I want to write all these books. I don't care if they're good or not, but I'm gonna write them before I die. You know
I guess
what I mean?
there are
like,
those two. You just keep making films that you're wanting, like just put out. But at the same point, you would think that if you've wanted to do these movies, you've probably wanted to do them right. Right. And I understand. I understand both sides of like, well, I want to do it right, but I also have all these other projects that I want to do too. So let's just skip parts here so we can get on to the next.
I'm way off. He's 84. I had to look that up.
Oh my gosh.
He's 84.
Yeah, he is. Well, Clint Eastwood's still going.
That's a good point. But there seems to be a pretty big difference in the quality of movie.
Yeah.
No, I said that wrong. The quality of movie is still good.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. stories that should be told.
Yeah.
I mean, I really enjoyed The Last Duel from a storytelling point.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed this because it helped connect a lot of dots on things that I kind of remembered back then.
Yeah.
Of some of these things happening.
I think Gucci gave them complete access to all the files that they had on this too, which I'm sure helped.
Yeah,
going into it, but
Yeah.
still, it just seemed like there was a disconnect from the story that he was trying to tell. Like the full vision just seemed blocky at times.
Yeah, and I mean, he's obviously done some incredibly, insanely good movies that have done really well. Obviously, Gladiator being one of them,
right?
And, you know, Blade Runner. He did Blade Runner, right?
Yeah.
You know, and so I guess you go into something like this and you're thinking, okay, it's impossible to be super bad.
It's a dangerous thought to go down.
And then it's super bad.
Yeah. And not the super bad movie that was decent.
There's so many good things in it though too.
It is, because there are so many gems throughout where I do enjoy what's going on, but then there's the other times where it's rough.
Yeah. But you think, to me, when I think about the film now, I look at it and say, okay, if you put it in different compartments, Jared Leto did an amazing job.
Yep.
I mean, the makeup and things like that. I mean, his accent wasn't great. Some of the times it was okay, but you could tell it was, you know, different parts was like, what?
It worked for his character, honestly.
It did.
Which, for better or for worse, just being a crazy... I mean, he is my perception of what a crazy uncle... And not a good crazy uncle, the bad crazy uncle.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at that talent and you compartmentalize that talent, and it's all individually very sound, very good. But it did not come together for anything.
No.
It was so not together.
Yeah, well, if we want to get into actor chemistry...
Yeah, let's do it.
Maurizio and Patrizia, their whole relationship is just weird to me, where they had a huge flame at the beginning where there's at this huge connection, right? And that's what it was trying to tell. But it died super quick, right? To me, like, it didn't make sense to me where, like, they loved each other, they were all in for each other, and then all of a sudden something switched where now Maurizio is now wanting to do his own thing.
Well, I think, right, and for me, what I looked at that, and I obviously noticed it, and clearly that was part of the script, and probably part of real life, of course. But I look at it, and I think he came to a place of realizing that she was being very manipulative.
Yeah.
Because she was. Clearly she had him killed. Spoiler. I mean, we all know that it's a Gucci story. I mean, nobody...
Well, to be fair, I knew nothing about Gucci before going
into
this film. Well, fashion has never been one of my top skill sets.
Come on, you're a fashion.
Sweatpants and sweatshirts should be what the fashion industry is going for, rather than weird half-cut clothes that I don't understand how they come together.
Right.
So I don't know if there was a disconnect from that, but
yeah.
So going back, I didn't under the history of Gucci. I did not know.
Yeah, it wasn't.
All.
Yeah. So, and I try to go into a film to be entertained, and then I'll evaluate later, right? Like I go in there trying to not know anything about it.
Yeah,
it's really hard to do today.
It is,
but I try to go in there as blank as possible. Because there's been films that I've gone and seen, and I'm like, this is a dynamite freaking film.
Yeah.
But it bombed in the box office. All the critics are too critical of it or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, this was super entertaining. I really loved it.
I think for better or for worse, critics don't like satire, and I love satire.
Yeah.
And so I know in any like comedy or thing like that, they're just going to cut it down. I'm like, I'm going to love this movie.
They don't like satire because it's too real.
That's right.
Anyway, so they're, so I know these things, and so obviously the end is clear to me anyway, and I'm thinking, all right, when you have a clear ending, it's not like you didn't write this story, all that kind of thing, so that things they're just not going to change.
Yeah.
The Titanic's going to sink.
That's right.
Now, what you do in between is the magic.
That's right.
And so when they had that relation to bring it to this relationship piece, when they had those things breaking up and their big flame, you start to realize, oh yeah, well, she has him killed.
Right. Yeah.
And so then it's like, well, it makes sense. So, but it's Maurizio is portrayed as the bad guy.
Yeah, that was
not
the
saying
other
he's
thing
the good
I struggled
guy.
with.
I'm not saying he's a good guy.
Right.
But I don't think it would have turned out like the way it did if she didn't manipulate things for so many years.
Yeah.
She wanted the glamour and the money and the big
absolutely.
houses and the big vacations and all these big things.
Go big, go home.
Right.
Yeah.
And his dad warned him about that.
Which is pretty amazing. I mean, probably being in the family, seeing how these type of things have worked out with other people probably is what caught it on the radar to be first.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I was impressed by the dad. Well, it's hard because you understand where the dad's coming from and you understand where the son's coming from, where you don't want the son doesn't want the dad to be controlling and the dad wanting the best for his son. And then there's this huge split where they don't talk to each other until he dies, essentially.
Right.
Spoiler, the dad dies as well.
We're not doing too good in our spoiler alerts, are we? Yeah, so with that, I'm going to give you my score for the actor chemistry. I don't, because of a lot of the things that were done pretty poorly, I gave it a 3.9.
Okay.
I think some of it, I do think that the actors, again, individually, really did a pretty good job.
Did you know the line where Lady Gaga goes, what was it? Father, Son, and House of Gucci? That was improvised.
No way, really?
Yeah. Man,
I
Lady
figured that
Gaga's
was like
got some
history.
chops. Yeah.
Wow.
I was super impressed.
Yeah. She's talented.
She is incredibly talented.
She's
I
talented.
cannot believe.
She's super smart.
Highly underappreciated, I think, because of some of the outfits that she wears. But the rap that goes around her. But yeah, that fit so well with the narrative of what she was trying to portray of like, this is the House of Gucci and I am that.
Yes.
And so I thought that was incredibly cool.
That was a cool line.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know it was improvised. I really didn't.
The other fun fact that I found, which kind of goes with, it's just more of the story, but Salma Hayek is married to Francois Henry Pinault, which I probably just butchered. But he was the founder of CEO of French multinational Kering, which actually owns the Gucci brand as of 2021.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
You really did some research on this one.
IMDb is an amazing place because I usually just do fun facts, and usually there'll be like 2 or 3.
Sure.
But for this one, there was a fact check of how things actually went out for the House of Gucci. But then IMDb was the only one that's usually I go first. But then I try to back it up through other sites. But IMDb, if you ever want to find fun facts,
there it is.
Go there.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Maybe that's why she was involved.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why she played the.
I mean, her part was pretty. It was small, but also still important. But
yeah. Oh, I don't know. While it was small in,
it played a vital role.
In screen time, it definitely was a big part of.
Yeah.
You could see the path there that Patrizia. Sorry.
The Italian lady. Italian Gucci lady.
So you could see where she started to go way off when you started doing all these
card reading. It's never a good sign when you hire a
And then they started and then they're like hanging out all the time and
taking mud baths.
Yeah. So anyway, there it is. What's yours? Where you at?
I gave it a 4.0. There was,
okay.
Again, I think it was on your lines where I think each actor played it well, but when they came together, it was hard. And I couldn't tell if that was more of the script. Again, the accent thing threw me off because the conversations seemed really choppy at times because it felt like they didn't know what they're going to say, even though there was no indication to me that they were speaking English or Italians trying to speak English. It came off weird.
Yeah.
The other weird part is at the breakfast scene at the end.
Yeah.
It was weird to me. They were speaking, so you know where they were talking behind Maurizio's back?
Yeah.
Spoiler about selling Gucci.
Yeah.
Got that one before. They were speaking Italian to each other. So why the heck would Maurizio not understand that?
No, that wasn't Italian.
What was it?
I've heard Italian. I've been to Italy.
Okay.
I didn't pick that up as being Italian. Not that I speak Italian, I don't, but it did not sound familiar to me at all.
Okay.
So that'd be interesting to look up and stuff too. But I guess I think weren't they they were Middle East?
Yeah,
weren't they?
I'm not sure where they're. They looked Middle East except for the main guy.
I don't think the main guy was, but I think the big money, his partners or whatever. I think they were.
I think you're right on that.
From the Middle East, they said or something. So I'm wondering, about that might be what it was. When they were speaking Arabic. But yeah. So yeah, no, I get that. Tell me about filming locations.
Never been to Italy. So I thought it looked good from my portrayal of what each location. Nothing really stood out like this doesn't fit what's going on. I thought the stores were pretty cool to visit at times. I remember Aldo when they were in America showing off his store. And I thought some of those scenes were cool. Again, I don't go into fashion stores either. So my understanding of accuracy could be completely off, but that's sometimes how I thought it portrayed. So I gave it a 4.1. I like the bikes when Maurizio was just driving around or pedaling around on the bike and just being as free as can be.
Yeah, and it was pretty interesting because the way it began was the way it ended.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was really cool, I thought. To me, one of those things, like how it began is how it ends, right? Yeah. Like you're
circle of life.
You're right. You're just reduced to those habits that we have, essentially. Yeah. Is the way to put it.
Which they talk about when they're talking about the assassination plot of, I know his routine.
Yeah.
And so then the beginning of the film, you see him do that same thing. And so when they were doing that later in the film, it was cool because it really was, if it's planting into the viewer's eyes that this is really a routine habit for Maurizio with what he does.
Right. What I did for the filming locations, I gave it a pretty high score because I felt bad about how bad the movie was.
Have to rate something good.
So and there were some cool locations. They switched it out frequently, locations, which I enjoyed. So I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
For a lot of those reasons, because they didn't. It wasn't boring. It made sense that they would be doing these things and going to these places.
Yeah.
I guess.
The skiing, when they were in, where was it where they were skiing? When they fled. Was it the Alps? No, I don't think it was the Alps.
No, it was in Italy.
Oh, was it?
They said, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't write it down, but I'm pretty sure.
I like that area too. That was a fun place to see.
Yeah, that was. All the locations were pretty good.
Yeah.
I thought, anyway.
Yeah. The cinematography. How do you think it was shot?
3.1.
Okay.
I thought it was pretty lousy.
There seemed to be quite a few inaccuracies.
Yes.
Which threw me off.
I thought some of the things, the lighting was terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
I was thinking the same thing.
Almost like, really?
Yeah.
What do you huh? Is this your first day?
Right.
You know, like, this is a backyard film, student or what?
Yeah. Yeah, that threw me off too because, the whole film seemed darker than what it needed to be.
Yeah.
If you would have just raised the...
I mean, back in the 70s, things were probably, they didn't have good lighting, I suppose. But
That's right. Or they were pulling up all this film from...
Right. So, yeah, I just wasn't impressed with it. I think they just, like... I know this isn't what happened, but I felt like they turned the cameras on and they're like, yeah, good enough.
Yeah. I agree. Again, it threw me off when what I talked about earlier, where they were saying that this needed to be seen in theaters, and usually that's because the cinematography is really good and there's things that just look better on the big screen. I'm like, there's nothing here that I wouldn't be able to enjoy just as much at my house while I can do other things. The other thing that threw me off was, the lipstick scene where she put her phone number in the lipstick on the moped.
Mm-hmm.
They shot that where the numbers were different, which is really weird because I was trying to sometimes pay attention to movies, just details like that. And I was trying to read the numbers, and I was like, I cannot pick out that last number as a 0 or 6, because clearly I was paying so much attention to the story of what they were saying. But then I was trying to read it, and then they cut off, and I was like, I really don't know what that last number is. I think it was putting myself in the eyes of Maurizio of like, oh, if I were actually to dial this number, would I be able to read it? Because I have terrible handwriting.
Sure.
And then the next...
I do too, by the way.
The next scene, it was very clear what the numbers were. And so I was like, did they just reshoot this? Again, that was a small detail, but it just happened to be one I was paying attention to at the time. And I did fact check later. There was another inaccuracy. But yeah, I agree. The whole film just seemed disconnected. There was no reason to see on a big screen. It almost would have been just interesting listening to the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I could have just enjoyed this just as well as like a 3-part podcast.
Yeah, like a background driving or whatever.
Yeah, so I gave it a 3.2. It definitely had a lot of... like we said, the filming locations were good. And the individual characters are good. Again, I think it comes together where the chemistry didn't match, and so... I think cinematography, if the chemistry is there, it just naturally improves because you're intrigued of what's going on.
Yeah.
But because the chemistry wasn't necessarily up to par, brought down cinematography to a lower place than probably what they were intending it to be.
Yeah, it's not like they did it on purpose.
No.
It felt like that, like they didn't care much, but I realized they did.
Yeah.
And I think they were trying to get some, like, authenticity or something. But I just pulled up again some of the images of Maurizio and a couple other people, and it's just not close.
The death, like, even when they shot Maurizio, it wasn't like that was probably what they were building up to the whole film. And it was just the guy drove by, shot him, and then they drove off, and then they cut off of it right away.
Right. So clearly they didn't intend it to be that terrible, but it did turn out to my...
I think everything coming together, I think, just brought down that score specifically.
And then costumes. They had literally, like, pictures of these people, lots of them.
Yeah.
They were fairly famous people.
Yeah.
I thought they did terrible.
Okay.
I mean, I'm looking at a picture of Maurizio right now, original from 1981. There's another one here I had pulled up from 80. What was it? Well, there's a 70. There was another 81 here that I was thinking. And I'm, from the film, it's just like, nah.
Yeah. Usually I feel, again, I know nothing about fashion. I will tell you that over and over. But from my understanding, the more you stick out, the better the fashion is.
Right.
The more ridiculous the costumes. And again, it's not like Ridley Scott or the costume designers had a lack of inspiration that they could draw from.
Right.
So it is definitely disappointing that they couldn't do better with that.
And I'm just, it's not any good. Costume 3.1 for me.
Hey, that's what I gave it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't, I'm trying to just, I know they put a lot into this film, and I know that the history of this is important. Things like these things are important. It's important.
There's a rich story there. It's not like I came out of the film of like, well, this story just wasn't that interesting. It was more disappointed because they told aspects of it, but the way it came together was like, man, I really wanted to care about the story that there's clearly this family that don't trust each other, are building this empire, a fashion brand that was built by the dad and the brother, and the empire collapses because of these relationships that happen after the dad dies, Rodolfo.
Yeah, well, I think, right, he definitely, clearly was glue.
Yeah.
Like, pretty big way. But I also think that his ego got in the way of some of the things, too, that, could have.
I think what worked, at least my understanding of the characters of Rodolfo and Aldo, is that Aldo was the visionary of, we got to expand, we got to go to America, we got to make our brand accessible outside of Italy. And Aldo was the tradition.
Higher volume.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And Rodolfo was the traditionalist of like, we're going to maintain a high standard for our product and keeping it local. But they work together, and they seem to be able to have an understanding of like, you're right, I'm going to give up here and so I can get this in return.
Yeah.
But it seemed, again, when the glue died off, Aldo wanted to make sure Gucci line was good because he was getting old.
Right.
And so he was trying to work. He knew Paulo wasn't an option. And so now he's trying to work with Maurizio, who has a manipulative wife that's trying to distance himself from the family. So, again, the story is very fascinating.
Yes.
But the way it came together just didn't work well, where I just struggled.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was. Music and score.
So this is one where I may have not actually paid attention to the score right away.
You love it.
I do. And so I didn't think I paid attention to it.
Yeah.
And today, while I was working, I was like, oh man, I completely forgot the score. And I know normally you view it as a good thing because you either engage the story or whatnot. For me, I was like, I don't even remember. So I started playing it, and then the first song that came on, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this now. Like, what was it? I forget. It was like Fancy. It wasn't Fancy. That's somebody else. I think it started with an F.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Faith. I think it was Faith is what it was called. I was listening to it, and then I was listening to West Side Story.
Sure. Like you're talking the Michael.
That was Faith. The George Michael.
George Michael. Sorry. Yeah,
yes.
George Michael. Yeah, that was the first song. It was in there, but I don't.
Well, maybe it wasn't the first song.
Yeah. Okay. It was in there.
It was in there. It was the first one on their soundtrack.
Okay.
But you're right, because I think I don't remember where it came on, but I remember when it came on. I was like, this song is a weird choice.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Italian. This seems very 70s, 80s, 70s American.
Yeah, well, he is English, I believe.
Oh, is he?
George Michael.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Still
Which is
seems-
not Italian.
Yeah.
But
And so there was that one, and then there was the other famous song that was sung in Italian. Oh, I cannot remember. I did terrible on the lyrics this time. But I was listening to it, and I was like, I definitely remember the score now. And it threw
Sure.
me off in the film.
yeah,
It did not match what was going on
no.
at all, which was I was trying to understand any concept of why they were playing this music, where they wanted to try to seem hip for Italians at the time. It was like, this music still doesn't make sense. If they were being, again, they seemed like prideful family American, like Italians. So why in the world are you playing American or English music? Italians have the classics.
Yeah.
And so why don't you do something with that, or at least tie it in? I give it a 2.9.
Yeah.
I did not enjoy it.
Literally a few minutes before you got here, I changed it. I was actually, I can't remember what it was exactly. It was like a 2.3 or 2.4.
Yeah.
I changed it to a 3.2 because the music itself, if you listen to it, I think is pretty good.
So
But if you tie it to the film, it's like,
that was the same thought that I was listening to the soundtrack. I was like, I'm enjoying this music, but now I'm trying to compare it to what I was in. And I was just doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense. No, totally. So yeah, I had to bump it up because of that. But when it was tied to the film, it was low.
It almost reminded me when we were listening to Ghostbusters or doing the Ghostbusters review. And it had one good song that ties Ghostbusters together, but the rest of the music was just crap and did not fit well with the movie. And again, this has good music, just doesn't tie in.
No, it doesn't tie in. Overall entertainment, I was like, can this end anytime now? Like, it has to be. Nope, it's got another 2 hours to go. And it's only a 2.5 hour film.
Yeah.
I was not entertained. I mean, you can tell stories like this, as powerful as they are, as interesting as they are, you can tell them in a, I mean, I'm not saying I can tell them in a better way, but I am saying I've seen and heard and, whatever stories similar that are extremely like, I want to keep watching.
Yeah.
And I did not want to keep watching.
No.
What did you have?
I gave it 2.8.
Yeah, I'm a 3.0.
It's so hard.
Just out of respect for Ridley Scott, frankly.
And again, we talked about the story is in the core of the story is interesting, and so I kept wanting more from the film.
Yeah,
because they put pieces in where I was like, "That's interesting. That's interesting. I want to know more here," but then the way it played out through the film just is not good.
No. And one of the pieces of it too that was, this is not tied to overall entertainment, but something I wanted to say. This kid of theirs, I mean, was left without two parents, one dead, one in jail.
Well, they have two kids.
They had two kids?
Yeah. That was another thing I read later.
Oh, because there was only one in the film.
There was only one in the film.
Okay. I was like, whoa,
two kids.
How did I miss that one? Okay. See, I didn't know that. I didn't read that. I didn't remember that either.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't put it in there. But I remember reading about that. I was like, well, again, was it because they're telling Gucci, why would you not add, even if they just show a birth of like, at least we acknowledge there's another kid in the picture.
Right. That's weird then.
Yeah.
Overall rating of this film is a 3.4 for me.
3.3.
Don't go see it. Wait for it to come out.
And then listen to it as a podcast.
Yes. What did you say about it in the text?
Oh, about Lady Gaga's character?
No. About how did you say that? It was a film How did you say that?
Oh,
It was
that's
so funny because you say that often.
Because you had messaged me about.
I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
Yeah, because it was in Minnesota. It's a Friday and it snowed like crazy, and so we pushed it back. And so you were saying, really excited to hear your thoughts about House of Gucci. And I said, haha, it was a film I watched, or it was a film that I watched, and then teary-eyed emoji.
Right. Exactly. It was a film that I watched also. And I'm not sure I am excited about that. And now I'm telling all kinds of people.
Luckily, there shouldn't be a sequel.
Good point. Hey, thanks for joining us. Make sure you hammer the like button, hammer the share button, hammer out a comment about Tyler's, sweatshirt today. Whatever, Split Rock. It's a great place to visit. We will see you again soon.
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
So it's done.
It's done.